following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Well, it's Everson Walls and Mickey Spagnola today.
That's right.
We're going to play a little short-handed here on Mick Shots on DallasCowboys.com in the SWBC podcast studio on this Monday. We have now, Everson, moved past preseason, and we are 2 weeks away from the season opener on September 11th.
Well, I got to say, if I was going to pick the two out of the three, then we would have to be the guys. Sorry, Bill.
Stepping
we
up,
would
right?
have to be the guys,
Especially.
We're the ones you want in the crunch.
Especially since we have a Dallas Cowboys Legends Award winner.
Hey, Tom Landry, baby.
Congratulations.
Tom Landry, baby.
Yes.
Not just any award.
The Tom Landry Legends
The
Award.
Tom Landry Award. That's right.
Did you know about that? Was it a surprise?
They kept trying to make it a surprise, and they didn't do a good job at all because I had to work in the show as well. I was a presenter also. So, everything was about rehearsal. We got to do this, we got to do that. You got to step here. When you leave, you go this way, don't go that way. And then they had to bring up, well, you're going to come up again.
Oh, no.
You got to bring it up because we're rehearsing. Right? So,
like you wouldn't know what to do.
Right. Well, I would have, the way they had us coming in, they picked us. They came and got us out of our seat to be presenters.
And by the way, we were talking about the Dallas Cowboys 2022 kickoff on Thursday night.
What would you call it, a gala?
Blue carpet and everything.
Blue carpet, that's right, yeah. So, we did a little rehearsing beforehand. And, because we were sitting in certain places and you had the team out on the stage, they didn't want you coming from the wrong place.
Right.
So they came and got you before you presented. Well, they didn't come and get me before I received. So they had to just tell me which way to go, which, like you said, I would have just gotten up and walked the way I did it. But, the way they were doing things, they were very particular. So you just had to be clear.
You know what that reminds me of? Like 40-some years ago, my sister was getting married on a Sunday, and the Saturday in Chicago, the Saturday of that weekend, a very good friend of mine was getting married in Kansas City, and he wanted me to be in the wedding. So I said, okay, I think I can do both, right? Well, they were so worried because I didn't practice for Sunday that I wouldn't know what to do. And
I walk down the aisle.
Don't I have to just follow the person in front of me?
And just hold your hand,
right?
just arm in arm with the person.
Like, what do I gotta
you go
practice?
that way, I'll go this way. Yeah.
I don't got no vows to practice.
Oh, that's too funny, man.
But anyway,
but
that was
deal.
cool. That was neat that
deal.
they honored you like that, and Roger Staubach was there to present the award.
Yeah. Michael Irvin was MC. I had to crack on his jacket, man. I just couldn't.
But was I right? Remember we talked, somebody said, who's going to have the best jacket? I said, well, Michael.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't know about the best.
But
the most interesting.
Most outstanding.
Yeah, there you go. Because I had to crack on him, because he looked like a waiter out there, just a glorified waiter. But he did a good job.
He did a nice job.
He did a really good
the
job.
Bus driver,
He
right?
really did a good job.
He kept the thing moving, and
they sure did. It was a long program, and I know the guys were tired. I'm sitting there. We're on row one, seat one. Me and my wife and my daughter and my son. And so they're right there. The team is right there. The defense is right there. I know I heard snoring. I mean, and I'm like, my wife's like, oh, they shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, baby, they're tired.
And by the way, they were so tired, they didn't even think when their names were introduced to stand up. We basically got this, a little wave.
No.
And not even
that.
Right?
I'm like, wait, this is your introduction. I want to know who you are. So Brad was very specific when it came to the offense. In case you guys, offense, you didn't know, it was protocol for you to stand up and raise your hand, even though defense didn't do it.
Yeah, because it was kind of weird because they didn't stand up and they didn't have their picture up there.
Nothing.
And so
then Brad was going fast.
And then the offense, it's like, okay, you probably need to stand up.
Yeah, it looked a little bit, unprofessional. But once again, they weren't. I don't even know if they knew they were going to be introduced.
Yeah.
So it looked unprofessional, but that wasn't the intention.
Because usually when they did the kickoff luncheon, they would walk in,
of course,
one by one,
yeah.
and they'd introduce them. And
it was good to see, the current players, their girlfriends and wives, they all showed up. It was a nice affair. They all had a great time. No, it was fun. It was fun. I acted a fool on the blue carpet with Dak. But, it was just my moment. It was just, I just had fun to be involved with the present players. It was an honor for me, really, to just be involved with them. Of course, Dak, did his thing. He's very professional. He always makes the former players feel good. He shows us respect every time he sees us. And I get it because we know him. Then he feels that obligation to come to us. But because we don't know the other guys as well,
right,
they wouldn't feel comfortable coming up to them. And I understand that. But guys like D. Lawrence, those guys, I'm sure they drew some love, and some of the other veterans that were there because Clinkscale showed up. Timmy Newsom was there. Nate Newton, of course, showed up. Preston Pearson was there. Jim Jeffcoat. I didn't get to talk to Jim, but Jim was there.
Phil Pozderac.
Yeah, I saw Phil. He had shorts on.
Shorts on and a sport coat.
I told him, I said, you couldn't find your pants long enough for you, huh? Because he's about 6'7".
So this is a funny story, and then we'll get on to the news of the day. But that was the first time I think I'd seen Dexter Clinkscale since he disappeared.
Yeah.
It was before
Back
the
in the
start
80s.
of the 87 season.
That's right.
And I remember, so I was working at the newspaper, and no one knew where he was, right? They made me go to wherever his condo was, somewhere in North Dallas.
Yeah.
And I was posting up, right, waiting for him to show up.
Yeah, you guys used to do that a lot back in the day.
Yeah, and he never did, right? It was like, okay, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm out of here, right?
You, Jim Dent, Gary Myers, all you guys.
Well,
Skip Bayless.
And the other one was Phil Pozderac when he did the same thing in 88, right?
Yeah.
And didn't show up, so they made me go to his house. And I go, no, I don't want to do that. And they go, yeah, we got to. I said, so I knocked on a door. His wife shows up, and she goes, yeah, I don't think he wants to talk. I said,
that was
shocking.
dangerous. That's dangerous work, Spags.
Right.
You could have got the hell knocked out of you by somebody.
Pay,
That's
right?
Go with a face mask. Just go with a helmet on. Hey, Phil.
It's not really me. It was really weird because I hadn't seen him for ages, and then the last couple of years he showed up at a few things with you guys. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so we've got a legend on this show. You guys respect this, right?
That's right. Respect my name.
All right. So the Cowboys played a preseason game on Friday, came back and won 27-26. But between so when was the last time we spoke? We found out, I believe, that Tyron Smith suffered his hamstring tendon from behind the kneecap, had successful surgery, and now the Cowboys are kind of in a quandary to what they do at the left tackle position. I wrote after the game what I thought they would do, or maybe I should say what I think they should do. I don't know that they're going to listen to me, and I want to get your take on it. But it's like, well, you drafted Tyler Smith to be your left tackle of the future.
Yes.
And the way I look at it is the future just arrived. So
the future has been rushed towards
so
the present.
Get him out there and get him ready. Now, the only problem is the fact that he has a sprained ankle. They say it's not too serious.
I was going to ask you about that.
So we'll find out when they had kind of an easy practice today. He was out there. But if they go ahead and say, okay, he's the left tackle, and at some point Mike McCarthy will speak about it. I believe his next time to talk to us is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine they would have made that decision because on the roster right now, the only alternatives are Josh Ball, who didn't play any football last year, and Matt Waletzko, who basically got into practice this past week for the first time since the start of training camp. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's obvious unless they find somebody on the street that they just got to have.
Yeah.
And those guys, you know what they've got out right now? Their hand. It's like, how much you going to pay me to come back?
That's right. How much do you need me?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I talked to Tyler when he came down the blue carpet, and I asked, what about making the transition from guard to tackle? And he said, well, I played tackle my whole life. That's what I did in college, so it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on it.
Well, first they drafted Tyler because as a guard, correct?
Well, they drafted him as a tackle that would play guard.
So then who do we have playing guard?
It'd be Connor McGovern.
It will be Connor McGovern.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good there.
Who they had actually starting at center on on Friday.
Really?
Yes. He played a couple series at center because my thought was they need a backup center on game day.
Giannis didn't even dress out.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, okay.
So what
that was just
means
all about
for him.
practice.
Yeah.
I know McGovern's like, hey, man, do I get a break?
I thought he was pretty funny after one of I think it was after Wednesday's practice when Tyron went down. And they asked him about, what he does. And he goes, well, I don't know. He goes, I've played 8 or 9 positions, right? He said, I've played all the positions on the offensive line. They had me at fullback. They had me at tight end. He goes, at one time they ran that play. I was out at wide receiver.
That's right. Well, I say this. I think Tyler's just going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. You're a young man. I know the injuries probably bothersome, but right now they're being careful with it. If we need him in a pinch, I would imagine he's going to play.
Right.
That's just the way it is. Sometimes you have to sacrifice your limbs for that. I am of the mindset that I like Ball. I like how he played in the game. Mm-hmm. I really do. I mean, I know he didn't play against a starter.
Right.
But what I saw.
No, actually, he did.
Did he really? I was assuming they weren't starters.
They played their starters the first 2 or 3 series in that first quarter.
He did pretty well. I mean, he did pretty well. He looked good. He didn't get beat on first moves. Uh-huh. He didn't get blown by. Even when the guy put down 2 moves on him, you saw that, yes, he was faked out the second time. But by that time, the ball should be gone. Even with a play-action pass, that ball would have been gone. That defensive end would not have gotten to our quarterback in time. So that was his worst moment at that time. I thought he looked really good. I think the depth that we're looking at is extremely impressive, not just on the offensive line, but I saw these guys balling out. In the secondary, I was impressed with Bland.
Yes.
He comes out, he gives up the touchdown. And I'm over at my buddy's house. And I said, okay, let's watch this kid. He just gave up a touchdown, 40-yard touchdown, which,
it was a hell of a throw,
Hell of a throw, and the receiver gave a little push off.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. So he learned, right? Did he learn? They came at him 4 more times. At least he was balling. Mm-hmm. What I saw right there, that's a defensive back for me. Yeah, you got me this time. I could go into a shell if I wanted to.
Right.
I could be that guy that's just, I'm never going to turn around and look for the ball ever, because I'm afraid now. I'm afraid to fail. He was not afraid to fail. And that's the true moment. That's the true DNA of a defensive back. Don't be afraid to get beaten. And when he went out there, made a play in the end zone, which is a hell of a play, stuck his hand in last minute, he didn't panic. And every other time, he had poise when the ball was in the air. He didn't panic. He didn't lose his footwork. No, he was on it. He made the play to make him miss the ball, not just it was an overthrown ball. He made them miss the ball.
And see, and everybody needs to understand that's significant because Jordan Lewis ended up with the injury. He didn't play in the game, and he's still rehabbing right now. Mm-hmm. Ankle, hamstring? It was a hamstring.
Okay.
And if they need the next guy up, it's probably Deron Bland, right?
He showed something.
And he played in the slot. He played outside. So, yeah, that was encouraging. And back to Ball, I think what happens with people watching him is generally he does a pretty good job. And then every once in a while he has one of those oh no moments.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, this guy's no good.
Right.
But remember, he didn't play last year. He hadn't played since December of 2020 until these preseason games.
Do you know how he graded out?
I do not know how he graded out, but just watching, I thought he was okay. I thought, well, let's go look like he hadn't played in a while, but he kind of got with it a little bit. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
When you're playing that blind side, and I'm going back to ball, when you're playing that blind side, you could tell the pressure's on him. And he never gave up. He fought hard. And from what I saw, now I didn't look at the entire game. I wasn't studying it, I'm sure, like you were. But from the isolation plays that I saw, he held his own pretty well. And I got to get back to the secondary. You know, interceptions, man.
McQuamu.
They're contagious. They're contagious. One guy gets it. If you got any pride from your other defensive backs, I got to get mine too, man. I mean,
right.
I can't just be out here dropping balls. You got 2-4 out here balling. He's got, 2 picks for the preseason?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's not bad. You know, guy gets in, he plays well, and they weren't just tip passes, and I'll take tip passes now. They weren't just tip passes. He jumped routes. Mm-hmm. He read them. He reacted to them. He beat the receiver to the ball.
Even Nashawn Wright, right?
Nashawn Wright gets a pick. These guys, you know, when you there's confidence in the secondary when you see that a turnover can be made. The confidence goes throughout the entire secondary, and all of a sudden, everybody's ears are peaked up. Okay, where's mine? I got to look for mine now. He got 2 now? He got 2 in the season? Man, I only have 1. I got to get 1.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
And it was a pretty neat play because they ended up playing a kind of a disguised zone where he let his guy go and then jumped the inside guy.
Yes, he did.
He broke my heart because I was pulling for Drew Lock to win that starting job. And it's like, oh, you didn't read what they were doing.
Oh, they were killing. No, they were all over Lock. No, that was not going to be his day.
Tip balls.
I got to say.
And Pete Carroll didn't wait long to say who the starter was, right? Right after the game.
Well, Geno did well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when it's all said and done, I think he's done pretty well for the Seahawks. He's no Russell Wilson, but you know, he's doing basic plays. You got the hook route, you got the guy going to swing, you got the deep end cut. Let me hit it. Read the linebacker. Pretty simple stuff. Now, he was going against second team.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what other people release here tomorrow. They got to make the cuts by 3 o'clock on Tuesday. You know, and everybody says, well, maybe he can pick up a tackle. It's like, if some time doesn't need this tackle, how good can he be?
Right.
Because everybody wants 3,
yes.
Right? So whoever's getting released,
you got to have the starters in the swing, right?
Yeah, and everybody's going to be the 4th one. Now, is his 4th better than my 2nd right now? So that'll be interesting to see. I would imagine they keep their eye on the waiver wire. They'll be keeping their eye on a veteran. But my thought is, if you bring in a veteran, he's your backup swing tackle because he's at least been in the league, you know, if he's been in the league for a couple years. So you would cover yourself there. Right. And it would be an insurance policy against Tyler Smith possibly struggling out there. But, you know, just looking at his footwork and his strength, heck, it might be simpler. I'm not saying it's easier, but from a mental standpoint, simpler to play left tackle than guard.
Yeah.
Guard, you got so much going on in there.
You
right?
do. Yeah.
Combo
you can get
blocks.
confused off in there. They run the games off in there strong. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Usually on the outside, the guy in front of you is coming.
That's my dude right there. That's him. I can isolate.
Michael Irvin's 3-second philosophy. All you got to do is stand in front of the guy for 3 seconds. You don't have to do anything else. Just get in his way.
That's how Mike blocked, too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's amazing that Emmett got the yards that he get based on that.
It wasn't on the wide receiver blocking. So
based on their philosophy.
So anyway, we probably take a quick break, and when we continue, we'll talk about the different positions and some of the decisions and tough ones the Cowboys have to make here on Mick Shots.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
No read, so we'll just continue with Mick Shots here. And by the way, we talked about Everson and myself being here. Bill Jones was called away on duty. I had to do some sort of NASCAR interview. I guess that race is coming up this weekend, if I remember correctly. So Bill had to bow out, but
we call it on assignment, Mick.
On assignment?
I like that.
He got called.
That sounds
away.
really important.
Call to duty, right? And he should be back. So we'll be doing Mick Shots again this week on Wednesday and Friday. And then the following week, starting on Tuesday, we will be back every day and at noon. So set your alarm clocks, right? High noon, Mick Shots. All right, so here's a couple things that I think we know are going to happen and kind of wanted to explain a couple of these things. The Cowboys, I think, have all but decided to keep Michael Gallup on the 53-man roster.
Okay.
So he started off on PUP, physically unable to perform, coming back from his surgery. But here's the thinking there. Even if they put him on PUP to start the season, then he would have to miss the first 4 games.
Yep.
It used to be 6.
Yeah.
It used to be 6.
Okay.
Now it's 4. But it used to be after 4, you can start the guy practicing for 2 weeks before he got to 6.
Okay.
All right? Well, now you got to miss the first 4 weeks, but there's no 2-week ramp-up to practice. So what the Cowboys are thinking, if we keep him on the 53, even if is not able to play until after the 4th game, he can at least practice.
Okay.
Because he's on the roster.
After the 4th game?
No, he can practice
throughout.
Oh, he could practice Wednesday if he was ready. Now, he doesn't have to play, right? But you don't lose him for 6 weeks, say you had to have a 2-week ramp-up before he played. So if you have him out for 4, and then it's like, okay, we're going to activate him, well, now he's got to practice for 2 weeks. So anyway.
No, I want him to come in ready to go.
Sounds like he's going to be on the 53, and then he can practice when he's able to practice, and then play when he's able to play.
What's Nate Newton used to say, the same thing, make you laugh, make you cry.
Right.
So who gets the bad end of that deal?
Well, because it looked like they would, and I was thinking they had to have him on the 53 and then put him, but they're not putting him on IR. He's PUP. So he could have just been on PUP. It wouldn't have affected anybody else. Now, this one's going to affect somebody else. I heard Stephen Jones say in his interview today on The Fan that Damone Clark, the linebacker that drafted, had the neck surgery for a ruptured disc. They're going to keep him on on the 53 so they can put him on IR return, meaning he has to at least miss 4 weeks, but then he can be on the roster going forward. They're going to do the same with Tyron Smith, too, by the way. So those guys have to be on the 53 for 24 hours, and then they can put them on IR return.
And that's definitely going to happen with Tyron.
And so, Tyron probably December. I think when they drafted Damone Clark, the linebacker from LSU, they said it was a 6-month recovery.
Yes.
So if we do May, June, July, August, September, October, you're looking at sometime maybe in November.
Okay.
And by the time he's ready to go, it could be December, if indeed. But again, they want to keep him alive. They don't want to have to do that. I believe James Washington will go on for 24 hours, and then they'll put him on IR return.
And also, he's scheduled to come back sometime.
Sometime probably the end of September.
Oh, I was going to say October. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If all went well with those things, you never.
We haven't heard any updates on him. I mean, you know how we see Michael Gallup out there running.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Mike looks good. Blah blah blah.
He hasn't started that yet. I don't believe. So yeah, he's still probably a month out.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they'll likely do, there'll be a couple guys that they cut that don't have to go through waivers, like C.J. Goodwin. He's not subject to waivers, so they'll cut him. Once they move those guys over to IR, then they'll sign him back. And he's only on a 1-year deal. Same with the deep snapper, Jake McQuaid.
Mm-hmm.
They did that last year with both of those guys.
When you look at someone like Goodwin, and you look at these young boys that are coming up, and they're doing a doggone good job. Marquise, we're talking, about 24. That kind of puts him in jeopardy, doesn't it?
Well, I think they value his ability to play special teams more than anything else.
Okay.
And these young guys really haven't played. Because I was talking to your guy, Marquise, and I asked him, I said, so my guess is you didn't play any special teams in college. He goes, not a down.
Really?
Because he was starting, right?
Yeah, but
and he goes, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah,
he goes, they got me on all 4, and I looked at him and I said, you look like a special teams player.
Well,
right?
most.
Did you see how he ran with the ball after the pick?
I did.
That was his running back days from high school.
That was very good because the guy tried to cut him low.
Yeah.
And that was a nice move. He sidestepped him a little bit. And he stayed on his feet.
Right.
No, I thought he was going to the house.
So those are a couple guys and then they may need a couple more. And so you're basically looking at guys that are vested veterans, so they don't have to go through waivers, so somebody can't just claim them. And they have to be basically with 1 year left on their contract, because the last thing you want is to cut a guy thinking you're going to re-sign him, but if you cut him and he's got 2 or 3 years of prorated signing bonus, that all activates right into the cap. So you don't want that to happen. So they'll probably find a couple other guys that might be head scratchers like, why'd they cut that guy? And then they can sign him back.
All 3 coaches that I had, 3 out of the 4, veterans were on special teams at all times.
Really?
Yes. Tom Landry. I played.
You didn't play special teams.
I was on kickoff coverage. I was also on punt return.
For how many years?
Every year.
No way.
Every year. I was never off of it.
Why were you on punt return?
Well, because you got to hold up the end, and that's like playing defensive back.
Right.
Victor Scott and myself.
Yeah.
Dude, they isolated on us on Monday Night Football because they had this kid out here from the Patriots. I remember it was Thanksgiving or something like that, and he was supposed to be the guy because he always got down. He was their Bill Bates.
Right.
Man, we wore that dude out. I believe the commentator said that's unfair. That's what he said. It's unfair how badly we were beating him up. So I always played punt return, and I always played kickoff coverage. My entire career.
Even with the Giants?
Even with the Giants.
Oh, especially with the Giants,
Especially
right?
with the Giants. You know Parcells.
Right.
He don't play. And Tom Landry's the same way. They want veterans.
But not when you went to
teams.
Cleveland, did you?
When I went to Cleveland, I still played kickoff coverage. And, yes, I still played a punt return. You got to jam that dude.
Right.
You got to keep him from getting down there. That's the runner. We got to keep the runner from getting down there and disrupting the catch. So, no, you wanted veterans over there that could do that job. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
It reminds me of Darren Woodson, because basically his rookie year, when they didn't think he could make that transition from that kind of linebacker, hybrid linebacker rover to safety, he basically was on special teams, right? And so the next year, I remember Jimmy telling me this. He goes, one of my mistakes I made was I should have had Darren Woodson playing in the slot right from the beginning.
Yes.
He goes, I just didn't think he could make that transition. But he still played special teams. So every year it was like, okay, yeah, we're not going to have Woody on special teams, and Avezzano would not take him off special teams, right? And he played special teams till he finished his career. He was always on special teams.
I was more impressed by Darren Woodson, by him sacrificing his safety position to come down and play that slot receiver towards the end of his career. That is extremely difficult to do.
Yes.
To still do. I had to do it myself until I retired. That was new for me until I went to the Giants. And that was about 9 years, before I didn't do anything. I just stayed on the outside. And I think it was the same way with Woody. It was out of necessity. You need a veteran there that knows how to cover, to know down and distance, to know what's a priority, to know that if your guy catches a 5-yard route on 3rd and 10, we're good. You're not going to be jumping a 5-yard route. You know how to cover. You know how to prioritize. So that's why it's good to have a veteran on that slot receiver. I did not understand the importance of it until Belichick put me there when I got to the Giants. And when I saw Woody doing it as well, I have much more respect for him. And I think because he's a safety, people don't realize Leroy Butler didn't come down and play the slot man.
Exactly.
Okay? Steve Atwater did not come down and play the slot man. Darren Woodson came down and played the slot man routinely. And to me, that gave me much more respect for him than any of those other guys that are already in the hall.
We need to put you on that 49-man voting committee.
Tell me about it. I'll get Woody on, baby. I'll get Woody on.
Get it straight,
he
right?
Needs to be on.
You know, the other special teams thing that always made me laugh, so when Danny White showed up for the Cowboys in '76, he was the punter.
Yes.
And he was the punter. And he was the punter. And then in '80 when he became the starting quarterback, he was the punter. Right? And he told me the story that every year he would go to Gil after he was the starting quarterback and go, this punting thing, he goes, maybe I should get a raise. And Gil would tell him, you know what, you're not going to punt. We'll have somebody else punt. He said, so after about the second or third year I was starting at quarterback, I went to Gil and I said, hey, I'm still punting. And he goes, maybe I deserve a raise. Oh, and he said, well, I feel so bad. He said, Danny, go talk to Tom. Tom wants to talk to you about it. So he said, I went into Tom's office, and he goes, and I basically made my same plea. And he said, Tom looked at me, and he goes, well, Danny, he goes, when I look for players, he goes, the more they can do, the better. He goes, so and he goes, how does that not equate to more pay? Right. And he said, I couldn't. Everybody should do as much as they can to help the team. And he goes, I didn't have an argument for it. And he goes, I knew I wasn't going to win. Tom Landry always tried to say he had nothing to do with negotiations. Right. That was the biggest lie that Christian ever let out of his mouth. Okay, he is part of the three-headed monster. There's Tex, there's Gil, and Tom is in there. He is part of that triangle. All right, so let's do this. Let's look at these positions and see. Let's see what you want to do. Okay. So quarterback, got Dak, and then there's Cooper Rush and Will Greer. Say you only can keep 2 quarterbacks. Cooper. You keep Cooper. I keep Cooper. And you hope Greer gets through waivers and put him on the practice squad. Greer, too. He looks good in the pocket. Right. But, he just has some weird throws. Something's going on, man. I mean, and then he comes up with these amazing throws. Right. And, man, he looks so good in the pocket. You're like, that's my guy, until sometimes you see him throw
I mean, there were there were 4 passes that I saw early on.
Well, the first one, we're going to talk about it, right? The deep out.
Right.
And he came up like 5 yards short.
Right. I thought he was throwing to somebody else. I didn't know what was going on.
Like he overthrew somebody.
Right. And then you had another one also rolling out to the left. Same thing, threw it short. The guy tried to dive out of bounds for it, if you recall, and he didn't have to dive. The guy was open. And I think it was 2 more that I can't recall right now, but I do know that he righted the ship as he got more time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you get into a game in the regular season,
you ain't got time,
those plays
right?
are going to be, you won't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those plays are going to contribute to your lack of time.
Okay, so we keep 2 quarterbacks. Running backs, we know the first 2, and then you got Rico Dowdle and Malik Davis.
Man,
and I'm sure you want to keep all 4.
Oh, wow. 3-4? 3-4 is good.
And if you only keep 3.
No, I'm talking about number 34.
You keep him instead of Dowdle.
And that's a tough call.
Right.
That's a tough call because Dowdle, he can see that hole, and he hits it fast, he hits it hard, and he knows how to stay on his feet. When you look at Davis, I just love the way he operates in space. You know, his ability to be able to give, he retreats a bit, and then he's able to split it. That's just rare,
right,
for good running backs.
So the way I look at it is, every team has one of those rookie or first-year free agent type guys that it's like, oh, we can't lose him,
right?
But you can't keep everybody,
right?
So one of them, I would think, they hope to get through waivers and put them on the practice squad.
Yes.
Now, wide receiver. This is a tough one because you want to keep Washington on for the 24 hours and then place him on injured reserve recall.
Right.
So now
so you have to count him.
And with Turpin, you can say he's a special teams guy, but you know what? They're giving him an opportunity to play wide receiver, right? So you're going to keep him. Obviously, you're keeping CeeDee Lamb. So that's 3. Probably Noah Brown. That's 4. If you keep Michael Gallup, that's 5. And then we're looking at Jalen Tolbert. That's 6. And you would probably like to keep Dennis Houston and or Simi Fehoko. And so that's 7. And you certainly can't keep 8.
Simi was having a tough time.
Yes.
He was having a tough time. But now, as you look at those receivers, you still have to look at them as you look at Turpin. How many are we going to keep for special teams?
Right. And then there's another guy that kind of showed up these last 2 weeks, Brandon Smith.
Yes.
80?
Yes. Looking good.
So they've got – this is going to be one of those deals where they're going to cut somebody that gets picked up.
Yeah.
That plays somewhere else. I think the tight end position has kind of settled itself. With Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson, and Peyton Hendershot. I kept hearing about him, and the more I watched him, I'm going, okay, this guy's on. Now they're going to have to figure out what they do with Sean McEwen.
He caved down that entire right offensive line for Seattle. I think it was they ended up scoring on that play, if I'm not mistaken. I just remember he laid that guy out. There was a defensive end.
Yeah.
He tried to slice inside, and Vander, what's his name again? I'm sorry. Hendershot just moved him right on down the line and cut off everyone.
And then when he scored the winning touchdown, and his helmet blew up, or maybe that was beforehand. I can't remember how it worked because I remember him saying the chin strap broke off. And then he said the inside padding came out of the helmet too. And he said so he went to the sideline, and he's standing there, and they're waiting for his helmet, and they were trying to fix it, and he's like, "Oh, come on, it's time to go." And they hadn't given it to him yet, so Ferguson gave him his helmet, and he went back out there, so he didn't miss any snaps. They got to make a decision there with McEwen, and I thought maybe because he hadn't been practicing, maybe they can put him on IR and just keep his rights and act like this is a redshirt year for him. And then the offensive line. And I think we got time to do this before we take a break and get to the defense. I think the tough decisions are you got to keep Tyron Smith on before you move him over. Can you keep 9 or can you keep 10? I think they like Matt Forniak as a backup center guard. You want to keep Letsko and Josh Ball. And then I think it comes down to Eviante Collins, who's got a little experience, but if you can get him through waivers, you can have an experienced guy on the practice squad. I think that'll be the guy.
Would you think of bringing in another guy?
And then there's also that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's some veterans out there.
Old ones.
Yeah.
Nothing against old veterans.
Hey, same here. Same here, pal.
But I think you keep your eyes open for it. And like I said, and if nothing else, for a backup swing tackle. So that kind of looks at the offense. We will continue breaking down the defensive cuts that are going to be much more difficult.
We got to go back to the wide receivers.
Here on Mick Shots. You're right.
We got to go back.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
Back to Mick Shots.
And we continue here on Mick Shots on DallasCowboys.com on this fine Monday. The Cowboys got in a light practice today. We'll try to get on a regular schedule the rest of the week. They will have Tuesday off as they normally do, and then practice Wednesday, Thursday. Friday would be kind of a walkthrough practice. If it was game week, they will have that off. Saturday and Sunday, and then I think it's back to work on Labor Day.
Back to work,
on
baby.
Monday. And
you labor on Labor Day. You know that's how it goes, baby.
That's part of the job.
That's how it goes.
I haven't had Labor Day off for years, right? You labor. Another sad note from one of the Cowboys family, former offensive coordinator, Ernie Zampese, passed away today at 86 years old. Spent 4 years as the Cowboys offensive coordinator, 93 through 97, or 94 through 97, excuse me, and took over for Norv Turner and had been an assistant coach, around the league, the Chargers, the Rams, the Cowboys,
he's
New England, and then Washington
everywhere
as a consultant. And I thought this was about sums up a nice tribute paid to Ernie by Troy Aikman. Lost a good one today. Ernie Zampese was one of the brightest offensive minds in the history of the game. Many of his offensive concepts are still being used to this day.
Yep.
He was my offensive coordinator in Dallas from 94 through 97. One of my most memorable moments was winning Super Bowl 30 in Tempe, Arizona in 1995, and Ernie getting the Super Bowl ring that eluded his entire Hall of Fame career.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good one. He was a character. Loved talking ball with him. He used to walk around with like three pens in his hands, and he was always doing this, right? And then one day I found myself always walking around with one pen. I don't know if it was an Italian thing or what.
What was
right?
he trying? What
he
was
always
he
had. He was just always had pens in his hands, right?
Well, he was always that guy.
And a cigarette, by the way.
He was always that guy when you needed someone to put you over the top. He was always that whipped cream on top.
As a coach.
As a coach. He brought what you needed. He brought the professionalism. He brought the knowledge. He brought the system that he knew was going to work.
Right.
You just do what I say, it's going to work. It was like bringing Tom Landry in. It's tried and it's true.
Yeah.
And that's why guys like Troy Aikman are so indebted to him, because when he comes to the table, your game is going to elevate.
And he born in Santa Barbara, and I remember the one year.
I thought everybody was laid back in Santa Barbara.
Right?
He
yeah.
was not
He was pretty intense. I remember the one year in training camp, we were in Oxnard, going into the early days in Oxnard, and Troy had a home in, I want to say it was Carpentiera, which was right outside of Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got in one of these little van type things, and we were going to ride up there for an evening. And I was sitting next to Ernie on the bus or the van, and we passed this little, looked like one-door church, right? And he goes, I was baptized right there, right? And he always had some story for you that was just priceless. So Ernie Zampese was
R.I.P. Ernie.
One of the best ones.
Yes, sir.
Okay, defensive line. I got 12 guys I'd like to keep, and I can't keep them all.
Well, it's like the offensive line. Where we need to be the strongest, I think we need to have the most backup.
So I'm going to read them in order that are by numbers here.
Let's do it.
Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Tristan Hill, DeMarcus Lawrence, Carlos Watkins, Dorrance Armstrong, Terrell Basham, John Ridgway, Neville Gallimore, Osa Odigizua, Quentin Bohanna, and Chauncey Golston.
I thought Fowler was a linebacker.
He's considered a defensive end.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he might have played 3-4 linebacker.
He did.
But he was a defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So at least two of those guys have to go. And if they keep Ridgway, Carlos Watkins, I think, may be the one that they move on from. And again, he's another guy. You can always put him on the practice squad if he gets through waivers. And then Terrell Basham, I think, although he has played well these last two preseason games, that might be my way to get to 10.
Sometimes the latest memory is the best memory.
Right? Yeah. And then there's always a trade. Somebody might want to trade for somebody. Tristan Hill's in the last year of his contract. So there's kind of a logjam there at defensive tackle because they've got some ends that they could move inside and play defensive tackle on the nickel, which is one of the things they've done with Chauncey Golston. They had him. He was a defensive end. He put on weight. They had him inside as a defensive tackle. And then in one of these last preseason games, I saw him back out at end. So again, the more you can do,
the more you can do.
Right.
And to me, if you, I'm looking at, you said 12. Wow. That's your final roster, 12?
There's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 guys. Yeah.
12 guys.
2 guys, I would think.
But you're still over.
Yeah.
2 people.
Yeah.
I think you got to get rid of an offensive lineman just based on yours.
No,
and the D lineman.
D lineman.
Yeah, I think you got to get
You could maybe squeeze 11, but I don't think you can do 12.
That's a tough one.
Linebackers should be much
confusing.
easier.
No, confusing.
But initially,
you're talking nickel.
If you're going to put Damone Clark on the 53 to then move him to IR, that means you would have to keep 7 linebackers to start with. So you got Parsons, Jabril Cox, Devin Harper, Anthony Barr, Leighton Vander Esch, and Luke Gifford, who's kind of looked at as your special teams ace. Yeah. So that's kind of crowded there.
So, I mean, to me, it's confusing because, you have the hybrids coming from the defensive back position.
With Curse.
Also, maybe with Bell.
McQuamu.
Yeah, McQuamu. So you're talking about, I would try to combine those linebackers and the DBs, because what you're looking at with the hybrids, and with us playing nickel most of the time, are we going to change this and go to a 3 linebacker set? Or are we going to stick with...
How many times do they play a 4-3? True 4-3?
Not much, right? I mean, but is this a change?
So the tough one is what you do with Devin Harper, your 5th-round draft choice. Can you keep him on the 53, or do you think, gosh, can I get him on the practice squad? Because you'd certainly like to keep him. And then one of the guys that could get sacrificed in Malik Jefferson. This last game, I think I finally saw 45.
Yeah.
But before that, it's been pretty quiet.
And once again, they got to be able to play special teams.
Right.
If they can do something on special teams, then that's going to add to their value.
And I guarantee you, Cox can play special teams, Harper can play special teams, and Gifford can play special teams. So that would be your 3 backup guys, and then you got your 3 starters. All right, defensive backs. I got way too many.
Yes, you do. I see it.
I got 11 here.
Oh, my God.
So Kelvin Joseph currently is out with a concussion. And Jordan Lewis is out with the hamstring strain. So then it's Anthony Brown, Donovan Wilson, Trayvon Diggs, Israel McQuamu, Nashawn Wright, J-Ron Curse, Malik Hooker, C.J. Goodwin, you're going to cut and bring back. Deron Bland, you got to keep him. And then Marquise Bell, which I know they want to keep. So there's a few too many guys there.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys there. I'm looking at those. The cornerbacks, I think you're going to need. The safeties, I think we have enough safeties to where we can, they can play either side. A couple of them could probably drop down and play the slot. But what are you looking at? I see you just changed.
I got five safeties.
Okay,
that's kind of what. So now the cornerbacks: Kelvin Joseph, Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, Trayvon Diggs, Nashawn Wright, and Deron Bland.
Joseph has had a tough
yes, he has.
preseason.
Although he showed up in the practice on Wednesday. Had an interception early.
That's practice.
And a second round.
That's less than preseason.
Second round pick.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what you want a guy that's going to show a little bit more potential. And right now, all you know is potential.
Right.
All I know is what I've seen you do. And right now, you haven't shown much.
And then I would think Nashawn Wright.
Also
who had struggled in preseason until he had that interception. So, somebody there or 2 have to go. And then you got your 3 guys on special teams, Anger, Maher, and McQuaid. And I saw somebody said, well, they can release Maher and then sign him back. But he's subject to waivers because he's only got 3 years in.
Okay.
So, and I just noticed where Carolina lost their kicker, suffered a groin injury in the last preseason game.
So they're on the hunt.
So they're
Carolina's
looking for,
on the hunt.
And if they need to they can just claim them on waivers. I don't know that you want to expose them.
Who was the third guy? It was the third guy.
You can release McQuaid.
Yes.
They did that before.
Yes.
The long snapper.
Yes.
And then bring him back.
Yes.
He's got. I want to say he's got a bunch of. Where's he at? Yeah, he's a 12th year guy. Wow. Yeah, right. 12.
So wait. So they're not out there. No one's out there looking for snappers.
Not at this point,
yeah,
right? Because if you're going to sign him, you got to give him some money for him to leave the job he has, right?
And I'm telling you,
and they can just say,
to find a good snapper, that's
right.
That's a luxury.
And you could always tell the guys, we're releasing you, we're bringing you back. You get your same money. And if somebody offers us something, it's like, okay,
come back and check with us first, right?
Yeah, we got to give you more.
All right.
Don't go because
I would say he's the guy to go there.
Yeah, and then
but getting back to those wide receivers.
Yes.
Okay, so who are our starting wideouts?
So the
right
way
now?
they've been playing it without Gallup of late, it has been CeeDee Lamb. And then Noah Brown has kind of snuck into the second spot. And then it's been Tolbert and Dennis Houston as the third guy.
So that's what we're looking at on Sunday night.
So that would be 4, right?
Yeah.
And then if you keep Gallup, that's 5.
I'm just talking about the starters.
And then you move him over.
I'm talking about the first 2 weeks of the season.
And then
that's the starters that we're looking at right now, wide receiver.
Right.
Okay.
And then you got to decide if you want to keep any of those other young guys. Oh, I forgot Turpin. That's 6. And then
he will be used.
And then it'll come down to Simi Fehoko. They've got Dontario Drummond, but I think he's probably a practice squad guy, and Brandon Smith. So there's 3 guys in there.
So you look at the Tampa game. You're gonna have a few receivers out there that no one's ever heard of before, on both sides.
And one of them, Noah Brown, basically had been special teams and your 4th or 5th receiver. Now he's looking at being maybe number 2, or maybe Dennis.
I think he's ready for it.
Dennis Houston and then Tolbert are the 3rd guy.
No, Brown's ready.
And they want to work Turpin in there.
Yeah, I think Brown is ready for it. He's played big downs for the last 2 years for us. I'm not worried about that. Then you look at Tampa's side. They don't have Godwin, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. So
no, they've got their problems.
Yeah.
And they also have their problems on the offensive line.
No doubt.
Because they're replacing basically 4 of their 5 starters from last year.
One of them just got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they lost their center.
They lost the center.
And the backup guy that was going to play guard, Stinney, lost him.
Yep.
So yeah, they've got their problems. Although their quarterback came back.
Yeah. He looked pretty good too.
and he played in that third preseason game,
good.
Right? So those are some of the issues the Cowboys are facing. We'll probably know more. Well, we definitely will know more tomorrow. Like I said, the cuts at 3 o'clock, and not only the cuts, but moving guys to the different reserve lists or hoping that you can get them back through waivers. And then by noon, I believe noon on Wednesday, you can start putting together your 16-man practice squad.
So as soon as we end this show, something amazing is going to happen. And
no. Well, the cut's at least been made.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Something else
you mean
is going to
today?
happen. Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Wednesday when we're back on Mick Shots.
No, when we leave today, just true to form, something's going to happen that is going to, affect this team.
Unless
we're going to miss out on.
Unless they're going to protect their guys, because you don't want to expose everybody before you have to waivers. There's no sense giving the other teams like a 24-hour head start on looking at your roster of the guys that you cut. That's why they don't normally announce it. But it gets out when guys get cut, right? So what's their agent doing? Well, they're putting it on Twitter, make sure that, or Instagram, whatever
gets
people
another shot.
use.
That's
so
right.
it's like, hey, my guy's available.
That's right.
So that's what usually happens. That stuff gets released before the team actually officially cuts these guys. Or you just go hide and they can't find you, right?
Well, yeah, Cowboys could do that. I think they have done that before. Hide the player.
No, I mean the player hides.
No, hide the player.
He doesn't want to hear
hide the player.
It's like there's no knock on the door, right? Which used to happen all the time. Now you got to make a phone call. You just stay off your phone ran out of juice, right?
That's a good one.
You can't
That's
call.
a good
You
one.
can't call.
Yeah, thank God for COVID.
It's like, well, you'll get cut, and then we'll tell you if we don't bring you in. So, anyway, a lot going on here with the roster. I remember after the last preseason game when they were playing 4 preseason games, and then by Tuesday you had to cut the roster to 53. We would stay in the press box, and Tex would take part in this, cutting the roster to 53, right? And everybody put in a couple bucks or whatever and see who got it right. Well, the only person they trusted with the ballots was Tex's wife, right?
Well, you guys that untrustworthy?
No, we didn't trust Tex either. It's like he's supposed to know more than us, right? Vern Lundquist would always be on it, too, because he'd always get that last Cowboys preseason game.
You don't trust Vern? Come on, man.
Those old veterans, you got to watch for them.
That's right.
But Mrs. Schramm would take care of the pot.
Who usually won?
Oh, it varied. Tex didn't always win, by the way, right? So
I could see him going into Tom's office.
I've got to get this right. So anyway,
so before we go,
yes,
Sam Williams.
Boy, if he could just mind himself on those late hits, right?
That's right.
He looks like he is a player.
He does. He looks like a bigger Michael Parsons.
Yeah,
I like that.
And he hasn't played that much football. So there are times he's not aware, like the time, I guess it was in the Chargers preseason game when, I'm free, I'm going after, no, they're throwing a screen pass to your side.
That's right. He was on,
I'm right?
going to kill this guy.
Right. But I noticed this last game, they tried it too, and he was more reserved.
No doubt. His chase down was right. Good. Yeah.
And the one late hit he got, his hand hit the quarterback.
That's what happened.
In the head.
I wouldn't call it a late hit.
Late, right?
I wouldn't call it a late hit.
Yeah.
But they called it a late hit.
Yeah.
It was just hand to the face.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
And then the previous game, they said that he hit him too high. He hit him with his shoulder. He didn't lead with his head. But again,
referees are also in
for
preseason,
them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Everson, thank you very much I didn't have to do this by myself.
I know. Thanks, Bill, for nothing.
Bill will be back here on Wednesday. We'll be doing Mick Shots at 2 o'clock Wednesday, and we'll go over all the cuts that have taken place by 3 o'clock on Tuesday. For Everson Walls, I'm Mickey Spagnola. Thanks to Chris Beam for keeping us going here, and we will return on Mick Shots on Wednesday. See ya.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!